One more push for votes. The race for governor fans out across California and where the candidates stand on public school funding.
All the DJ players, and they have a party sometimes Friday or Monday. They came from New York and everywhere, and they come right here and they have a dinner.
Welcoming the new kid on the block. The City Heights businesses who can't wait to see this new bar take off.
I'm just hoping I get a easier. I just don't really want to get out. I think I did okay on a preliminary, so I think I have a shot at finals.
Imagine language as an extreme sport. Meet the San Diego students who are spelling their hearts out at the National Spelling Bee. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The race for governor is heading into its final stretch before Election Day. Former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa rallied at Border-Filled State Park today. He and other gubernatorial hopefuls are racing across the state, stumping for votes. Today, Villaraigosa highlighted immigration reform on the campaign trail.
Look, we can see this border just down the way as a dividing line. And some people, particularly President Trump and a majority in the Congress, see that border as a dividing line. See it as a place of conflict. See it as a place, a collision of nations and values. I choose to see, and I think most of us choose to see that border as an opportunity. The border as a meeting place where people from two great countries can come together and work together and trade together. San Diego is built on a border economy.
Do we have any California citizens here today? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Travis Allen.
Republican gubernatorial candidate Travis Allen rallied supporters last weekend in Otay Mesa. He held a Take Back California rally, blasting the state's sanctuary state law. Republican John Cox is also running to replace Governor Jerry Brown. He was in Northern California today, focusing on housing-related issues. The businessman from Rancho Santa Fe says California's cost of living is negatively impacted by an overreaching government.
That's my business. I build apartments, and the costs in California are way higher than the national average is, partly because of this regulation and litigation and taxation.
Cox is also a prominent supporter of repealing California's gas tax. Earlier this week, Cox received the endorsement of President Donald Trump. Education is one of the campaign issues for this race for governor. Governor Jerry Brown and Sacramento lawmakers have taken steps to close the achievement gap with limited success. In tonight's Cal Matters report, gubernatorial candidates explain what they would do.
Make sure the classes they're taking are actually eligible for the HCB. Well, and that's why I've got a preschool plan, and that's why I'm focusing on 0 to 3. And I believe in full service community schools. I believe you have to bring the social context into the schools themselves. I believe in adolescent mental health. I believe in comprehensive arts education. I believe in finding ways to fund those partnerships at the local level along the lines of what we did in San Francisco through this partnership we call Partnership for Achievement. And we've laid out a vision for full service community schools to begin to address these issues in a much more systemic and substantive way.
I'm a fan of school vouchers and charters. But I mean, I believe in giving people a choice. A parent in the inner city in Los Angeles, in the barrio, doesn't have that option to move to a suburb. It's too expensive. So a voucher for them that gives them a chance to go to a competitive school in that neighborhood would be a great thing. And it may not be as good as the school in Santa Monica or Brentwood, but it'll be probably a good sight better than the existing school that isn't competitive.
Well, I will do universal preschool, and I will do mandatory full-day kindergarten, and I will reduce class size in elementary education, and I will inspire a new generation of teachers to want to be in this profession. I'm fond of saying the floggings will continue until morale improves. We actually have to get more resources in for the underachieving kids in the underachieving schools, and that means smaller class size. It means bringing back the librarian, the nurse, the counselor, and helping those kids to get what they need to succeed.
So it's very simple. What you do is you demand accountability from schools, and you allow parents to choose to send their kids to the very best schools, whether traditional public or traditional charter. This has become a two-tier system where there's one system for the wealthy elites of California, and then there's another system for everybody else. And this is a massive problem. Parents must be given the choice again to send their kids to the very best schools, and those schools must be held accountable. That holds true for charter schools, and it also holds true for traditional public schools.
Teacher training. We got to focus a lot more on getting the effective teachers to highly effective, the ineffective teachers to effective teaching. A lot more in terms of parent involvement. 3, technology. We got to bring technology in the classroom. 4, this LCAP and LCFF on the right track, but I'm the only one that said they're spreading money like peanut butter. It was supposed to go to the kids that needed it the most. I want to make sure that money goes to the classroom.
Yeah, we need to make sure that we hold those leaders responsible for their decisions, right? We have to make sure that there's measurable progress. We can't allow failure to continue. Yeah, no, we would be actively engaged with those school districts that are underperforming.
This report was produced by Cal Matters, a journalism group that helps explain how the state capitol works and why it matters. More than 1.4 million Californians have already cast ballots in the state primary. There is a push to get even more people to vote by mail. This year, 5 counties, including Sacramento, Napa, and Nevada, experimented by sending out mail ballots to all registered voters. Officials say more than 11 million ballots were sent out, and ballots postmarked by June 5th will count if they're received within 3 days of the election. Many ballots come in near this deadline, so counting will continue for weeks. A growing number of young people feel they have an impact on politics. That's the finding of a new poll by MTV and the Associated Press. 46% of 15 to 34-year-olds say they feel they can make at least a moderate impact. That's up 9 points from March. During that same time, we've seen nationwide protests following the Florida school shooting. 40% of those questions give the government an F grade on guns. 30% said they approve of President Donald Trump's job performance. An aide to San Diego City Councilman David Alvarez wants his job once he terms out. Vivian Moreno is running to represent District 8, which includes Otay Mesa, an area she says is the city's last viable industrial land. Tell us why you want to represent District 8 on San Diego City Council.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. I am a fierce leader in the South Bay. I was born and raised in the southern part of San Diego, and I think District 8 needs a strong leader that has experience. I've worked for the past 7.5 years with Councilmember David Alvarez, and I know how to get things done. Experience is a big part of making sure that your community gets infrastructure projects such as parks and libraries, and so infrastructure is going to be a huge component of my candidacy. And when I become elected, that's one of the focuses that I'm going to focus on. And also housing. housing, everybody's feeling the squeeze in all of San Diego, I would say, and we simply need to build more housing.
And you talk about wanting to bring more parks to District 8. What's your plan to take that on?
So we've actually already been working on that. I work for Councilmember David Alvarez, and I've worked for him for the past 7.5 years. We actually opened up the first park in 30 years. That's going to be Cesar Solis Park. That is opening up in July. We're also opening up a Dennery Ranch Park. We're going to have our very own dog park in the South Bay. It's about quality of life. It's about, if you are, a senior citizen, it's about walking in the morning and feeling comfortable walking in your community. It's about being able to play, football, soccer. It's about having green space next to your home, and that makes a change. That makes a difference in one's life.
How do you bring more investment to communities such as like Logan Heights and Barrio Logan without eventually outpricing the families of that community that sustain those neighborhoods?
Yeah, well, I think the number one thing that we need to do in San Diego is build. We are, in my opinion, we're feeling the squeeze because we simply haven't built. And so a lot of people that are renting should actually be owning. So in the northern part of our district, one of the things that I want to make sure also that we bring in is affordable housing. We need to have an affordable housing component to building, and I think that's going to be a big proponent for the northern part of our district.
Recently, District 8 made the news. There were some children and families. They went to the city council meeting, and I remember watching this. And what they were talking about and they were advocating against was getting a temporary storage facility for the homeless placed in their communities. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the city council voted to do just that. I think Councilman Alvarez was the one dissenting vote. Is San Diego doing enough to make sure that facilities such as that one are evenly distributed throughout the city?
No. We're not. District 8 has basically taken in most of the homeless population, and without their input. I know there was a proposed renovation of a motel in the South Bay that, the Super 8 motel, and they came to the residents at the 11th hour. The residents haven't been a part of this process. And I think what the city has been doing has been reactionary. They've reacted to what is going on. And to be honest, a lot of this was, started off with the hepatitis A disaster that just happened. That should have been something that the city and the county, to be honest with you, the county is sitting on $84 million. The county should have been working on that 8 years ago. Now, putting a person in a tent for $1,800 a month doesn't seem like a good bang for your buck, if you will, when you could rent an apartment for $1,500. I think that the city really needs to take a step back and really assess all the districts, because this is an issue that shouldn't just be left for District 8 for the weight of this issue to be placed on the shoulders of District 8 it's not fair and it's not balanced. And there are homeless people in Kearny Mesa. There are homeless people in other parts of the community or of the city, and I think that this approach was hasty and it was something that was shoved down the throats of District 8 residents. And I don't think that that's the city. If we're gonna get to the bottom of the issue, I think the number one issue that we need to address is housing, permanent solution housing for homelessness. And I think that we should look at the city as a whole, not just one district.
Vivian Moreno, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You can find more election coverage on kpbs.org/election, including candidate interviews and our KPBS voter guide. KPBS will also have special live coverage of election results next Tuesday night at 10. Should San Diego Unified trustees have term limits? KPBS education reporter Megan Burke says the school board is taking steps to put the question before voters come November.
The board voted unanimously Tuesday to push for a ballot initiative that would let voters decide whether trustees should be limited to 3 4-year terms. The decision comes after more than a year of public dialogue about how trustees are elected and a district survey in which more than 80% of respondents said they wanted term limits.
Got to listen to what the voters say. If the voters say they don't like this, they can vote that way. But let's just let the voters say without any manipulation.
City Council has the final say on whether voters do get to weigh in. Its Rules Committee is expected to take up the issue June 13th. The school board also voted to push for a 2020 measure that would let 16 and 17-year-olds vote for trustees. Its survey did not show support for that idea. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
California may offer more transparency on police shootings and other use of force by officers. Today, state senators approved a measure that allows for the public release of specific records. These documents note when officers improperly used force or discharged a firearm. Other incidents may include sexual assaults on the job or when officers were found to be dishonest in their duties. Critics say the disclosure could open officers up to more attacks. San Diego health officials and county leaders are broadening their efforts to prevent suicide. Today, the collaboration unveiled an updated suicide prevention action plan. It includes 9 strategies on how to prevent people from ending their lives. At the heart of the plan is broader outreach and connecting people to behavioral health services and helping them find a sense of purpose.
The more we can take the impulsivity and create speed bumps between someone's thoughts of suicide and the means, they are far less likely to make a suicide attempt.
The suicide rate in San Diego County has dropped to its lowest level in 5 years. Still, an average of more than one person each day takes his or her own life. A county-funded crisis hotline is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That number is 1-888-724-7240. Congress may cut some of the red tape connected to Governor Brown's water tunnel plan. The project would divert water from Northern California to Southern California via 2 massive tunnels. The project is currently the subject of nearly 24 lawsuits filed by environmental groups and local governments. The new House bill includes language that would prohibit judicial review of anything associated with the tunnel's project.
So that's a major problem for Northern California. It basically opens the door to the biggest theft of water ever and to the construction of the 2 tunnels that can and eventually would destroy the largest estuary on the west coast of the Western Hemisphere.
The bill is expected to come to a vote in the House next month. Well, May Gray is sticking around for now, but we're looking at a warm-up for the weekend. Regina Miller has more in tonight's forecast.
As we look ahead in the forecast here, we have that stubborn marine layer around for late tonight into tomorrow. So spotty drizzle into your Thursday morning, gusty winds, mountains and deserts, and cool, and then warmer into the weekend. So looking at the satellite and radar here off the coast, we do have a system that's bringing an onshore flow here into Southern California that's going to bring some spotty drizzle late for tonight, and those clouds build in 62 degrees in the metro areas. Other locations, we fall to 67 in Borrego Springs, Mount Laguna 49 degrees, and into San Diego we're at 62. Chula Vista is at 61 degrees. For Thursday, we're going to have those morning clouds, kind of misty, maybe a little bit of spotty drizzle around in the morning hours, and rather stubborn. You can see, though, how much the cooler air is going to be in place as well. Our temperature for tomorrow is going to get to 64 in Mount Laguna. Into Chula Vista, we're at 68 degrees. Oceanside is at 70. It is going to be warming up quite a bit as we head into the weekend. So looking at your forecast for the coast, we're going to have morning clouds and mist, then clearing and 70 degrees. Low clouds will break a little quicker on Friday and give way to some sunshine. Starts to warm up as we go into the weekend. Temperatures are in the upper 70s by the late weekend. Inland areas, you're going to have the morning mist, then clearing at 72 degrees for your Thursday. Clouds give way to sunshine a little quicker on Friday. And then by the time we get to the weekend, we're back into the 80s. In fact, we're in the upper 80s with sunshine on Sunday. In the mountain area, 64 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Friday, we're at 68, and then we will warm it back up here as well. We'll be at 82 on Sunday with sunshine, sunny and nice, warm on Monday as well. In the desert areas, 92 degrees for your Thursday. But look at this. We'll be at 104 on Saturday with sunshine. We're at 110 by the time we get to Sunday. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, a fact check of some of President Trump's statements at a campaign rally. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Change is coming to City Heights. The owner of a popular uptown whiskey bar has launched a new place alongside longtime businesses in the immigrant community. But instead of competition, KPBS reporter Taryn Minto says neighboring establishments see it as an opportunity.
It's time for the traditional Ethiopian coffee ceremony at Red Sea Restaurant in City Heights.
Back home is we do lunchtime, break time, and at dinner time.
Owner Shimelis Kabrit says the beans from Kwafa province are fried in a skillet. His wife circulates the pan around the restaurant for customers to inhale the scent. Then incense are burned, beans are smashed, and a traditional pot is used.
So this one is very strong, but we do at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock coffee. Whoever's come right here is going to have fresh coffee, free.
Kabrit has been serving Ethiopian cuisine since Red Sea Restaurant opened more than 30 years ago. The eatery is part of a cluster of longtime businesses near Euclid and University Avenues. But this month, that commercial corner is changing as a new eclectic bar and grill opens next door.
So you picture a mellow place.
That's Bill Lutzius, owner of the popular Aero Club bar near the airport. He's behind the newly launched Chinatown Bar and Grill that sits in a rehabbed building immediately next door to Red Sea.
A nice, friendly place that you can talk. The music won't be too loud.
He says the name comes from similarly titled establishments on the street, but it's not a Chinese restaurant. It's one part of a unique mix of cultures. The decor is Egyptian, the food is American, and the featured liquor is tequila.
It's a world theme. It is a theme. It's different themes, but you know.
Lutzius says just like the nearby music venue Tower Bar, Chinatown will draw evening foot traffic to the area, which can bring change to the lower-income community.
People will move to this neighborhood because, oh, I can walk 2 blocks and I can get a beer in a nice, quiet bar, or I can go to the Tower and, you know, listen to music or whatever. I mean, it really is a big part of why a neighborhood, like you say, gentrifies or you know, becomes so expensive you can't live there anymore.
Well, that may positively affect businesses, which happen in neighboring North Park. Lutzius acknowledges the change might not be positive for everyone.
But then if you think that the neighborhood has improved and changed, but are the same people there, and that's probably not true. The people that were living in North Park probably aren't living there anymore, you know? So that's a very good question, you know, who does it really benefit?
But he says maybe change is inevitable.
What do? Do you not change? You know, what do you do? Just, okay, we're not going to have any more restaurants. We're not going to build any new apartments. You know, what do you do? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is.
He says his primary bar, Aero Club, is a victim of a business decision. The building was acquired by a new owner who was putting it up for sale at a price he can't afford. He says he'll be looking to move Aero Club when his lease runs out. Next door, Red Sea's Kabrit says he isn't worried about Chinatown moving in. In fact, he and other nearby businesses told KPBS they're excited about the bar's opening. Kabrit says he expects Chinatown to boost business like he sees from Tower Bar.
All the DJ players, and they have a party sometimes Friday or Monday. They came from New York and everywhere, and they come right here and they have a dinner.
Kabrit says if he had his way, the street would ultimately be lined with Ethiopian eateries. But until then, he welcomes the Chinatown Bar and Grill. Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
Ready for all the buzz and glory of the Scripps National Spelling Bee. A couple hundred students are hoping to make it to the finals. From the Medill News Service, reporter Caroline Tanner introduces us to two students representing San Diego County.
Out of 516 spellers from across the country, Karen Sun and Kevin Lowe are representing San Diego. Sun, a native Chinese speaker, moved to the U.S. during her kindergarten year and learned English. Being in the bee is a major achievement.
Learning English was a big challenge for me, and spelling was pretty difficult because of all the different cultures involved in English.
Also representing San Diego is 13-year-old Kevin Lowe, who made it to the National Bee after winning the San Diego County Bee in just his second year competing.
Well, I just found out about it last year, and then I won my class bee before I knew about it. And then I went to my school bee, and then I lost, and then I decided that I wanted to go to nationals and get to the finals this year.
And Kevin's mom, Helen Kwan, was surprised to find out her son was even competing in a bee.
To be honest, I didn't even know until he won the school champion that he's going to be representing school and going to the county competition.
Both Karen and Kevin competed in the second round Tuesday.
I'm just hoping I get a easier. I just don't really want to get out. I think I did okay on a preliminary, so I think I have a shot at finals.
Both spellers will compete in the third round today with a chance to advance to the finals on Thursday. In Washington, D.C., Caroline Tanner for KPBS News.
41 spellers advance to the finals tomorrow, and unfortunately, our friends Kevin and Karen didn't make the cut. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.